Enemy in panic. These 5 reasons prove nothing can stop the US Army in the world. These were once the stuff of science fiction. But the fact that the US Army has a program called Optionally Manned Fighting Vehicle attests to the rise of the machine. The Army already has a robot test vehicle, an armed, remote-controlled M113 armored personnel carrier, and is vigorously pursuing autonomous trucks that can haul supplies without a driver. The US Army already fields an impressive array of weapons. But as the US Army prepares itself for potential conflicts against high-tech Russian and Chinese armies, the Army is working on a slew of new systems ranging from tanks to missiles. The result will be the gradual disappearance of the familiar weapons born during the Cold War, the Abrams tanks and Apache helicopters, that symbolizes America's arsenal. In their place will be a new generation of weapons. Here are 5 that we will likely see in the coming years. Number 1. Maneuver Short Range Air Defense (MSHORAD). Snuggled under the protection of the U.S. Air Force, and facing low-tech opponents like the Taliban, the Army's tactical air defenses have lapsed since the Cold War. But with the proliferation of drones, and the threat of high-tech Russian and Chinese aircraft and helicopters, the skies aren't looking so friendly for the ground pounders. For now, the Army is opting for a stopgap solution that mounts Stinger anti-aircraft missiles on a Stryker light armored vehicle. But the Army plans to mount directed energy weapons, lasers, on the Stryker, which can engage targets more quickly than missiles, and don't run out of ammunition, except for electricity. Number 2. Robot tanks. Today defense contractors around the world are competing to introduce small unmanned tracked vehicles into military service. Just like an army on the move, there are contrasting views about how far and how fast this technology will advance. Above all, designers are testing the limits of human control and machine independence, the ultimate goal of autonomy. Will this new generation of mini-tanks change the face of warfare? How much autonomy can they be trusted with? From drones and missiles to tanks and submarines, semi-autonomous weapons systems have been used for decades to eliminate targets in modern-day warfare, but they all have human supervision. Nations such as the United States, Russia, and Israel are now investing in developing lethal autonomous weapons systems, laws which can identify, target, and kill a person all on their own, but to date there are no international laws governing them. The US had robotics for years, but the information revolution means it can navigate on its own. Machine learning, a subset of the artificial intelligence (AI) revolution, means software embedded in Titan recognizes patterns. Data from its cameras and other sensors are matched to prior examples so it can navigate to a chosen destination. The idea is to have minimal human intervention while Titan goes about supporting the troops or exploring a dangerous area. But the freedom we'll grant to the UGV is strictly limited. Number 3. Future vertical lift. Just as Cold War-era M1 tanks are being replaced, so are the Apache and Black Hawk helicopters that comprised Army aviation. The Future Vertical Lift program aims to develop a family of new helicopters, including an attack reconnaissance machine. Number 4. Long-range artillery and hypersonic missiles. Accustomed to plentiful air support from the Air Force, the Army's artillery has lagged behind that of Russia, which is fielding several new howitzers. But instead of big guns that can shoot out to 20 miles like the M109A6 Paladin 155mm self-propelled howitzer, the Army is talking of cannon that can hurl a shell 1,000 miles. Whatever the exact range will be, it's likely the Army will be deploying artillery that can reach hundreds of miles, which vastly extends the lethal zone in which enemy troops must operate. Number 5. Next Generation Combat Vehicle. Since the 1980s, the backbone of the Army's armor force has been the M1 Abrams tank and M2 Bradley infantry fighting vehicle. Both designs have been upgraded and modernized over the years. The latest M1A2 has far better sensors and electronics than the 1980s M1, but these are essentially 40-year-old designs meant to stop a Soviet tank assault across the Fulda Gap. The counterinsurgency, small wars, of the past 2 decades has made armor secondary to infantry boots on the ground, but as the US refocuses on the prospect of mechanized, big war, against Russia and China, there is a new love for tanks. The Army's Next Generation Combat Vehicle program aims to create a 21st-century armor fleet, including a new main battle tank, infantry fighting vehicle, self-propelled gun, and even robot tanks. The defense industry is pitching several designs, such as BAE's Swedish-designed CV-90 infantry carrier. But whatever vehicles are chosen will reflect the enormous changes in technology over the past 4 decades, active protection systems to stop anti-tank missiles, tactical networks, and even drones as an integral part of the vehicle systems. And for a really futuristic design, take a look at DARPA's Ground X Vehicle Technologies program, and the conceptual art of a tank that looks like a dune buggy.